Berlin has set out its most far-reaching military rearmament since the Cold War, circulating an internal blueprint that would channel about €377 billion into the Bundeswehr across the next budget cycles. The document, described by officials as a practical anchor for the 2026 plan and beyond, gathers roughly 320 procurement lines that span land forces, air and missile defense, naval aviation, space resilience, and cyber protection. It pairs that shopping list with a political shift that shields part of defense spending from Germany's constitutional debt brake after the near exhaustion of the €100 billion special fund. Each tranche above €25 million will still face committee review, but the overall posture is unmistakable: industrial scale and long-range firepower, backed by a multi-year financing path, will replace incremental fixes. The architecture leans on a layered air and missile defense spine that would expand quickly from the maneuver battalion to national coverage. At the close-in tier, the Army plans to field 561 Skyranger 30 turrets, mobile systems centered on a 30 by 173 mm revolver cannon with programmable airburst rounds and optional short-range missiles intended to defeat drones, rockets, and loitering munitions. The concept is to push protection forward with the units most exposed to saturation attacks. The medium layer adds 14 IRIS-T SLM batteries with hundreds of interceptors, complemented by several hundred short-range IRIS-T LFK rounds. With published ranges around 40 km and full azimuth engagement, the SLM tier is designed to block cruise missiles and aircraft and to mesh into NATO's wider command and control lattice. Unmanned capabilities figure prominently and are framed not as boutique add-ons but as core collection and strike enablers. Germany intends to spend around €100 million to equip and arm its IAI Heron TP fleet, the high-altitude, long-endurance platform that can stay aloft for more than a day under satellite control and carry a payload exceeding a metric ton. Tactical reconnaissance will be thickened by a dozen Luna NG systems budgeted at roughly €1.6 billion, adding a digitized link and a control radius in the low hundreds of kilometers for brigade-level targeting and battle damage assessment even in poor weather. At sea, for UMAWS packages, priced in the neighborhood of €675 million including training and sustainment, will extend unmanned surveillance into the maritime approaches central to resupply and energy security. On land, Berlin is opting for standardization en masse in the infantry fighting vehicle fleet. The plan foresees 687 Puma IFVs by 2035, including 662 combat configurations, consolidating around the 32 Malawian Quachas per ABM 30mm cannon with airburst ammunition and MELLS, Spike LR, guided missiles. The logic is twofold: a common parts and training ecosystem to ease readiness and a lethality upgrade that restores overmatch inside 4 km against armored threats and hardened positions. Officials argue that aligning equipment across more battalions will reduce maintenance bottlenecks that plague mixed fleets and allow formations to train together at scale with the same sensors, software baselines, and tactics. Maritime patrol and anti-submarine warfare, atrophied during years of underinvestment, get a near-term bridge through an interim buy of 4 P-8A Poseidon aircraft acquired via the U.S. Foreign Military Sales Channel. With the APY-10 radar, modern sonobuoy processing, and high-altitude weapon release, the P-8A gives Germany a credible tool for the Baltic and North Sea lanes and the ability to monitor seabed infrastructure that has emerged as a strategic target. That naval aviation line item dovetails with a broader push to harden command connectivity in space, where spending exceeds €14 billion, including a planned €9.5 billion low Earth orbit constellation. The goal is a jam-resistant mesh that prioritizes wartime data flows, keeps shooters tied to sensors, and preserves decision-quality information even under aggressive electronic attack. Where the document breaks new ground is in the reach and survivability of conventional strike. Germany intends to acquire 400 Tomahawk Block VB cruise missiles and 3 road-mobile Typhon launchers, adding a ground-based, long-range option with a radius near 2,000 kilometers. That capability, long absent from Berlin's arsenal, would complicate adversary logistics, air defenses, and command nodes at depth, while reducing reliance on air-delivered munitions in the teeth of modern integrated air defenses. The move is also political, signaling that Germany will no longer outsource the deep strike function to allies, even as it continues to integrate with NATO targeting and battle management. The financing model is as notable as the hardware. Chancellor Friedrich Merz has tied the program to a stated ambition to build Europe's strongest conventional military, and the partial exemption of defense from the debt brake gives the pledge a runway beyond a single emergency fund. Procurement remains overwhelmingly domestic in value, about 160 Germany-linked projects worth roughly €182 billion, with Rheinmetall's footprint estimated around €88 billion. The blueprint is explicit, however, that certain mission sets still hinge on U.S. platforms. That roster includes the P-8A for maritime patrol, the Typhon/Tomahawk complex for deep strike, and a potential top-up of 15 F-35s related to NATO's nuclear sharing mission. In aggregate, those foreign-linked lines account for less than 5% of spending, yet they anchor the roles where alliance interoperability and access to mature technology outweigh industrial policy. Industry sits at the center of execution. The government is pursuing an industry-first approach that pairs demand signals with multi-year frameworks so primes and suppliers can invest in capacity with less risk of political whiplash. Rheinmetall, Diehl Defense, and other German manufacturers are expected to absorb a large share of orders, while the state preserves oversight through the standard approval process for contracts above €25 million. The challenge will be converting frameworks into fielded batteries and squadrons on a cadence that outpaces threats. Training pipelines, workforce recruitment, and supply chains for critical components, from programmable fuses to satellite buses, will determine whether the plan's timelines hold. Operationally, the design aims to be cumulative rather than siloed. Skyranger 30 moves counter-UAS and counter-rocket defense into every maneuver brigade, reducing the demand on high-end interceptors. IRIS-T SLM builds a medium-range umbrella to catch cruise missiles and fast movers. Heron TP and Luna NG keep surveillance persistent over the front line and the deep area, cueing artillery, armor, and air defense with coordinates rather than hunches. The P-8A tightens the undersea picture where Allied reinforcement across the North Atlantic meets the choke points of the northern European littorals. The LEO constellation binds the network together when traditional links falter. Layered on top, the Typhon batteries provide a prompt, survivable strike option that can hold at-risk command nodes, air bases, and logistics hubs far beyond the forward line. None of this is guaranteed. Parliamentary pacing can slow signature to delivery, and Europe's defense industry, after decades of constrained throughput, must ramp without sacrificing quality control. The Bundeswehr still has to absorb new systems alongside legacy fleets, write doctrine for long-range ground-based strike, and integrate multinational air defense architectures where sovereignty concerns sometimes collide with data-sharing realities. But this time the numbers, the quantities, and the mission outcomes live in the same document. If implemented as outlined, Germany would shift from a posture of patching gaps to one of setting the pace for NATO's European pillar, able to see farther, connect under pressure, and reach deep with conventional force when deterrence fails.